There's something brewing. It has been subtle, but now we are seeing it.
Which is an anti-irresponsible left-wing organization that casually plays right.
What every American that's halfway sensible wants is a civil society where freedom is protected.
The consequence of not speaking truth is that we're giving evil and we're giving the lie a chance to germinate and spread itself.
The whole purpose, very clearly, and Americans need to see this, is to silence debate and discussion. There is nothing more un-American than that.
Most people have not kept up with the fact that they have transitioned from fighting hate groups to being an ideological arm of the radical left.
They only look at organizations that they disagree with ideologically, and they lump them in with these violent organizations that are actually engaged in violence that include the KKK, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists.
It is perhaps the most serious threat that we have in the nation for the ability for people to go about their business peaceably.
And a civil society means I may disagree with you, but I think you have the right to your opinion.
You know, it's actually evil, really evil, to call someone or a group a hate group without even knowing them, without having any real understanding of who they are or what they're about.
In America, you can agree and you can disagree. It doesn't mean you hate. We don't hate people. We love people, but we want the truth to be told.
The Southern Poverty Law Center is politically driven, agenda driven, and they're far left. And so they define hate from that prism.
I mean, here's the bad thing. If the Southern Poverty Law Center continues this approach, it minimizes true hate. Now the Southern Poverty Law Center has lost all credibility.
The Southern Poverty Law Center, which is focused on neither the South nor poverty nor the law, weirdly enough, aspires to be America's supreme arbiter of what is and what is not a hate group.
When you take a look at the history of the Southern Poverty Law Center, it's apparent that there were some noble things that took place years ago when they started, but today that's changed.
When they originally were founded, they were founded to fight the KKK and the neo-Nazis and groups that most Americans, find abhorrent.
But that's not what they're about at all. They're a fundraising organization.
It has nothing to do with poverty except to try to make organizations that it doesn't like poor. And it has nothing to do with the law because they try to be a law unto themselves.
They've got hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the reason that the word poverty is sort of deceptive.
$328 million in net assets, $50 million plus a year.
The Southern Poverty Law Center is a money-making operation. They have millions of dollars that they're not spending to advance the causes they say they support.
The fact that one of the leading philanthropic organizations gives them an F because of the large amount of money that they raise and then they stash offshore.
Why in the world would a nonprofit organization hide money in offshore accounts where you can't trace how they're using it?
Actually follow hate. And let me go through a little bit of who these groups are according to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
The Southern Poverty Law Center is really the ultimate nightmare in that they have the money, they have the media, and they have a hate label that they can slap on virtually anyone or any organization they disagree with.
The media just parrot this information without any critical analysis. They never pick up the phone or send an email to ask the organization they're writing about if it's true.
When it's repeated by the mainstream media, it's given credibility. And when it's given credibility, that could lead to real danger.
When you have an organization that's putting out literature or labeling people in a way that creates emotions among other people that follow them, it puts them at risk.
We saw it here at the Family Research Council just a little over 5 years ago when we had a gunman who came in with 100 rounds of ammunition and 15 Chick-fil-A sandwiches intending to kill as many people as he could. He testified to the FBI when he was interrogated that he did so based upon the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate map, which had listed the Family Research Council.
Even the FBI has recently taken the Southern Poverty Law Center off their list of credible organizations It's not just conservative groups that have attacked SPLC. They've also been reprimanded by Obama's Department of Justice. They were also criticized by the U.S. Army for labeling Christians extremists. Even liberal journalists and some left-leaning news media have criticized SPLC. And Stephen Bright of the Southern Center for Human Rights called the SPLC founder a con man and fraud.
And so the group is determined, literally as they say themselves, to wipe out or to eliminate groups with which they disagree. And they've gone after people all over the country, trying to attack them, trying to put them out of business.
And the danger is they're doing it in a way that people won't know what is right and what is wrong. Because when you label a group as a hate group, some people believe it.
None of the Christian organizations that are on the Southern Poverty Law Center's site that have been recently placed there in the last 5 years that engage in public policy, none of them advocate violence against anyone in our society.
Major companies and government institutions are listening to them and using the material and taking action based on their material. That's the problem.
Some organizations have lost their landing page for credit card processing on their websites. Some people have lost their URLs, with GoDaddy and others shutting down the URLs of some of these groups.
Banks are taking action based on this. Credit card processing companies, insurance companies, internet providers, and other high-tech service organizations are cutting off dealings with organizations that get labeled a hate group.
We've got to do something about this. So the first thing you can do is pray.
We have an opportunity to challenge their narrative, and the truth always wins. It might come in a little late, but I promise you, it's always going to show up. So it's critical. This is a great time for Christians and for conservatives to show up.
It starts with organizations like us, but it doesn't stop there. If groups like ours get shut down under the name of hate, you better believe you are next. People will suffer, families will suffer, communities will suffer. We stand between you and a monster organization who wants to silence people like you from holding certain beliefs that they don't like.
The best way you can to fight back is to play on the same ground that they're trying to play on, and support those groups that are being attacked by this leftist organization, because their desire is not just to silence those groups, their desire is to silence you.